Hello, colleagues and professors. Thank you for stopping by my poster. My action research is on improving the social skills of adolescents with learning disabilities. Adolescents with learning disabilities can have difficulties making and maintaining friends. This is especially true for learners or individuals with autism spectrum disorder. They're more likely to have impairments in learning and social skills. This is especially true in the last year of remote learning, where adolescents in general were not really afforded practices in social interaction. According to the DSM-5, individuals with autism have deficits in developing, maintaining, and understanding relationships. These deficits can range from difficulties changing behavior to address various social contexts, to difficulties in gaining friends, to a lack of interest in peers. And so the purpose of this study is to describe the effects of social functioning instruction on the learner's knowledge of social skills and the quality of social interaction between peers. So my research question: how effective is the peers curriculum for school-based professionals social skills training for adolescents with autism spectrum disorder 2013 for teaching social skills to adolescents with learning disabilities? So this is the peers curriculum for school-based professionals. The peers curriculum was developed in UCLA at an outpatient clinic for individuals with autism. And Elizabeth Lageson is the main author of this manual. So she is a person that I reference quite a bit in my literature review. Firstly, in my literature review, I find that Wyman and Claro write about social skills being taught in a group setting and students being able to practice with similar aged peers. That's an effective strategy for teaching social skills to adolescents with learning disabilities. Now, Elizabeth Lageson, the author of the Peers program, has conducted several studies on social skill instruction using the Peers curriculum. They found that adolescents with autism spectrum disorder significantly improve their social functioning skills while decreasing autism mannerisms and increasing peer engagement. Lageson and team also find that, the first replication of Lageson's findings is done by Scholl and others. Now, they found that participation in the peers curriculum led to a decrease in social anxiety and problematic behaviors. They recommend the peers program as an appropriate social skills intervention. Matthews and other researchers expanded the literature on social skills instruction by exploring the effectiveness of a peer-mediated model of the peers curriculum. They paired individuals with autism with adolescents, typical adolescents, and both the typical adolescents and the adolescents with autism increase their social skills knowledge. And I'm going to go back to Wyman and Claro, 2019. They found that peers also works for adolescents with intellectual disability as well. So this is important for my action research because my learners have cognitive impairments. So I teach in a self-contained Miami-Dade public high school in North Miami. Now I have, as part of this study, 7 9th through 12th grade students who were participating online through remote learning due to the pandemic. So 4 of the students have ASD, while 1 of the students is considered OHI due to his official diagnosis of high attention hyperactivity disorder. Now, all of the students are on a modified curriculum because they have cognitive impairments. So they're considered to have intellectual disability as well. The intervention was conducted with the help of a classroom paraprofessional. So what did we do? Well, we used the program for the education and enrichment of relational skills, which is peers, as a manual for teaching social skills to adolescents with ASD. Now, this curriculum is a complete 16-week program that is meant to be followed week by week in its entirety. So every week focuses on a different social skill. For example, we have 1 week that focuses on the appropriate use of humor. Another week that focuses on how to start a conversation or how to join a conversation, so initiating conversations. And then there's another example of handling arguments, which is a big one when you're in high school. And the way we taught this curriculum was through lessons in which we question and answer, so didactic lessons, role-playing scenarios. I used my classroom paraprofessional a lot, and I printed a script for her. We would go back and forth and act out appropriate social interactions. The students did have teen activities, like we played remote versions of Pictionary and Jeopardy. And they also had weekly homework, and we would do homework reviews where they would have to call each other on the phone and initiate conversation and practice some of the skills that we were going over in class. The peers manual was modified for online use due to remote learning. So Zoom meetings is how we met, and the student participants would I would screen share the PowerPoint lessons about the topics. And that replaced the traditional roundtable in person with a physical whiteboard lessons that the peers are supposed to be done with. This instruction was done during a class that we have called Unique Skills, where we focus on social emotional learning and life skills. Did collect baseline and post-intervention data using the test of adolescent social skills knowledge, the task. These scores were compared to understand changes in the participants' knowledge of social skills. The questions on this test are based off of the topics covered in the chapters. Students also took the quality of socialization questionnaire for adolescents. This is also a pre and post intervention measure. Now, I looked at these results to see how the students interacted with a peer the last time that they met that peer. So students would answer questions about how well they got along, basically, so we get an understanding of the quality of their social interaction. I also kept a homework log to track the completion of weekly homework assignments. This data source provided information about how engaged students were each week and how the completion of homework affects the student's task and quality of socialization questionnaires scores. Now, looking at that task, the test of adolescent social skills knowledge, I have a double bar graph here comparing pre-test and post-intervention scores on this test. So for every question out of 30 that the students got right, they would get a point. So perfect score would be 30 out of 30. See, I have 7 students here. Names were changed for privacy, and every student showed an increase in the knowledge of social skills. So every single student did show an increase, and we didn't, the scores to begin with were not as poor as I initially thought they might be. So I was surprised by that. I was definitely surprised by some of these gains too. Okay, so then we have our weekly homework completion class percentages. So what I did was I jotted in my log every week whether the students had completed their homework, partially completed their homework, or just did not, do anything for homework. And for the most part, we had 100% of students completing homework on many weeks. Sometimes, the same students would not do their homework, and these are the students that show the most modest gains on the task. And the class average for homework completion is 75%. So 3/4 of the class was regularly completing their homework. Okay, and I'm going to jump over to our third measure, the quality of socialization questionnaire for adolescents. This asks the students questions about how well they got along with their friend the last time they saw their friend. So you have questions like, we didn't share games or personal items. Students choose not true at all, just a little bit true, pretty much true, very much true. And they're supposed to answer honestly and accurately how they got along with their peers. For the most part, people got along. I did notice some 100% post-intervention score on whether they argued with each other. Not true at all, 100%. So on some of these, the students indicated that they got along well with their friends, even before the intervention, definitely after the intervention. We annoyed each other. We didn't hang out with each other. We needed a parent to solve problems. Not true at all. Most of my students indicate. Okay. So we see that the task results show that the students had a baseline average score of 13.4. That's before the intervention. After the intervention, which is the peers curriculum, the students scored an average of 20.42 for a mean increase of 7.29 points. I call that a nice gain of social skills knowledge. Now we saw more modest improvements in the quality of socialization questionnaire. This is the one where students describe how well they got along with their peers during their last get-together. Now, the homework compliance log indicated most students were compliant with completing weekly homework. 75% of students, on average, fully completed their homework assignment every week. What does this mean? Well, this action research reflects the findings described in the literature review. Specifically, this study aligns with the Wyman and Claro 2019 study that shows that students with cognitive disabilities could also benefit from the peers curriculum, which was what I was hoping for because my students are on a modified curriculum, so they do have cognitive disability. The homework compliance log indicated that 5 students who regularly completed homework had the higher or larger increases on the test of adolescent social skills knowledge. So by completing homework, the weekly homework assignments that are included or that are part of the peers curriculum, you have a higher chance of learning more. I mean, that is evident here in my action research. And another point that I noticed, well, 2 of the students that had the largest increases on the test of adolescent social skills knowledge are also the students that I consider to be the higher functioning students, so the students that require the least amount of supports. So I think you can imply that the higher functioning and the less support you need, the more improvement you can make in social skills knowledge. I did have a limitation of not being able to conduct a peers intervention as it should have been in person in a group setting where we're having a back and forth conversation. We have a physical whiteboard that I'm writing on. We weren't able to do that. You know, it's just the times. So we did it online. It's a modified peers curriculum. We did it through Zoom, or I did it through Zoom using the screen share function. Another limitation, well, I think that my quality of socialization questionnaire might be a little biased because the students, I feel like they picked the answers that they thought they knew were appropriate rather than answers that were honestly reflective of their last interaction with a peer. They know what the right answers are. They chose the right answers rather than writing honestly about how they interacted with a friend the last time that they saw a friend. Needless to say, they picked, for the most part, the right answers on that questionnaire, or the most appropriate answers. Now, this study does imply that the peers curriculum is an effective intervention for increasing social skills of students with ASD and students with intellectual disabilities. And I did get some positive results when implementing the peers curriculum remotely for the virtual students. And as I said before, homework assignments help with expanding the social skills knowledge. Okay, I have my references from the literature review here, including the American Psychiatric Association for the reference to the DSM-5. And I would like to thank you for stopping by my poster presentation. Look forward to reviewing all of yours as well. Thank you.